"You hideous monster! Stay away from me." "But Amora, I am your husband now. I would rather die than touch your rotten skin." These were the words that would echo through the village of Qaame in just 12 sunsets. But today, none could imagine that the most beautiful woman in all of Africa would speak such cruel words to the ugliest man on earth. In the heart of the African savannah lay the peaceful village of Qaame. Ancient baobab trees stretched their arms toward the heavens. The red earth was rich with honest sweat. Children's laughter echoed between mud brick houses painted with ochre and clay. The Zambezi River sang its eternal song just beyond the village borders. Among the daughters of this blessed land lived Amora. She was the precious child of Mama Kisi and Baba Kisi, humble farmers whose weathered hands knew the sacred rhythm of planting and harvesting. Amora was not merely beautiful, she was a vision that made ancestors weep with joy. Her skin gleamed like polished ebony kissed by morning sun. Her eyes held the depth of midnight skies scattered with diamonds. Her lips curved like the crescent moon painted in deep crimson. Her waist moved like palm fronds swaying in evening breeze. The village elders whispered that the gods had taken 7 seasons to sculpt her perfection. But beneath this celestial beauty lived a heart poisoned by vanity. Each morning, Amora performed her daily ritual of self-worship. She sat before a polished copper mirror that gleamed like captured sunlight. "Who in all the kingdoms of Africa can match my beauty?" she whispered to her reflection. "Not in this village, not in the great cities, not even in the palaces of kings." Her mother's voice drifted from the cooking fire. "Amora, my daughter, come help me prepare the cassava." But Amora waved her hand dismissively. "These hands were crafted by the gods for a king's touch," she declared. "Not for peasant work. Let my brothers Kofi and Qaame handle such menial tasks." From outside, her younger brother Kofi called out in frustration. "Sister, why must we always do your share of work?" "Because beauty like mine must be preserved," Amora replied. "One day, a great king will come for me." Her mother sighed deeply. "Pride, my daughter, is a dangerous companion. It whispers sweet lies until it devours your soul." But Amora only laughed. "Let others worry about their souls, Mama. I have beauty, and that is all I need." The mirror reflected her smile, but for just a moment, it seemed to crack. The curse was already stirring. Look at Django's wife, dragging her feet like a wounded antelope. Amora's laughter cut through the morning air like a sharp blade. Her childhood friends had begun to marry, one by one. First was Adaora, who wed Django the fisherman. Then came Kechi, who married Emeka the goat-herder. Finally, Fatima chose Adamu, a humble potter whose hands were always stained with clay. These were good men with honest hearts, but they were not kings. They did not wear gold or ride in carriages. They did not command armies or rule vast kingdoms. And this made Amora's heart burn with cruel satisfaction. "Sister Adaora." Amora called out sweetly as her friend passed by carrying water. "How is married life treating you?" Adaora smiled genuinely, her face glowing with contentment. "Very well, Amora. Django brings me fresh fish every evening. We laugh together by the fire and share our dreams. I have never been happier." But Amora's smile turned wicked. "Fresh fish. How romantic," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I suppose when you marry a fisherman, you learn to love the smell of river mud. At least my husband's hands don't smell like dead fish all day." Adaora's smile faltered. "Amora, why do you speak so cruelly? Django is a good man who loves me truly." "Cruel? I speak only truth," Amora replied, examining her fingernails. "When I marry, it will be to a king who bathes in perfumed oils. My husband will wear silk robes and golden sandals. He will build me a palace with rooms made of ivory." Tears began to form in Adaora's eyes. "Beauty without kindness is like a flower without fragrance, Amora. You may be beautiful, but your words are ugly." "Ugly?" Amora laughed harshly. "Nothing about me could ever be ugly. I am perfection walking on earth. You are just jealous because your husband smells like river weeds." Adaora hurried away, her shoulders shaking with quiet sobs. From the doorway of her hut, Mama Kisi watched the exchange. Her heart grew heavy with sorrow. "My daughter," she whispered to herself, "you wound others with your tongue. But the ancestors are watching. And they do not forget." Behind Amora, the copper mirror reflected her triumphant smile. But in its depths, something darker stirred. The curse was growing stronger. "Move aside, peasants. Beauty like mine deserves a clear path." The weekly market day had arrived in Qaame village. Colorful fabrics fluttered in the morning breeze. Women sold fresh tomatoes, peppers, and okra from woven baskets. Children ran between the stalls, their laughter mixing with the calls of vendors. Drummers played soft rhythms under the shade of a massive mango tree. The air was thick with the scent of roasted groundnuts and palm wine. Amora had spent hours preparing for this moment. She wore her finest wrapper, dyed in deep indigo with golden threads. Her blouse shimmered like captured starlight. Bright red cloth adorned her hair in an elaborate headdress. Palm oil glistened on her skin, making her glow like a goddess. As she walked through the market, conversations stopped. Men forgot what they were buying. Women paused in their haggling. Children pointed and whispered. "She walks like the earth owes her tribute," muttered old Mama Folake. "Beautiful outside, but what about her heart?" whispered another woman. But Amora heard only the admiring gasps. She saw only the envious stares. Her pride swelled like a river during the rainy season. "Yes, look at me," she thought to herself. "Drink in my beauty and remember this moment forever." She strutted through the market like a queen reviewing her subjects. Her hips swayed with deliberate grace. Her smile was practiced and perfect. But fate was waiting in the crowd. If this powerful story of transformation touches your heart, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel for more such incredible videos that will change how you see the world. Near the pottery stall, bent with age and struggling with a heavy load of firewood, stood Mama Dunny. She was the oldest woman in the village. Her back was curved like a question mark. Her eyes were clouded with cataracts. Her legs trembled with each step. She had been the village's most respected elder for 30 years. Children called her grandmother of wisdom. Young mothers sought her advice. Even the village chief consulted her before making important decisions. But to Amora, she was just an obstacle. The old woman, unable to see clearly, stepped directly into Amora's path. Their baskets collided. Firewood scattered across the dusty ground. Mama Dunny fell to her knees with a cry of pain. The market fell silent. Every eye turned toward the two women. The ancestors held their breath. This was the moment that would change everything. The curse was about to be born. "You blind old fool. Look what you've done to my beautiful clothes." Amora's voice rang out across the silent market like thunder. Mama Dunny struggled to rise from the dusty ground. Her weathered hands shook as she tried to gather the scattered firewood. "Forgive me, my child," the old woman said softly. "My eyes are not what they once were. I did not see you coming." But Amora's fury blazed like a wildfire. "Don't call me your child, you wrinkled old goat. Look at my wrapper. It's covered in dust. Do you know how much this cost? Do you know who I am?" The marketplace crowd gasped in shock. No one had ever spoken to Mama Dunny with such disrespect. "Amora, she is our elder," called out Fatima from the crowd. "Show some respect," shouted Emeka the goat herder. "Help her up, don't insult her," urged Adaora. But Amora's pride had possessed her completely. She stood over the fallen elder like a vengeful spirit. Respect. For this old hag who can't even see where she's walking. She should stay in her hut instead of blocking the path of her betters. My beauty is sacred, and she has defiled it with her clumsiness. Mama Dunny slowly raised her head. Her clouded eyes seemed to look right through Amora's soul. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of generations. "My child, I have lived through many seasons. I have seen pride rise and fall like the rains. You are beautiful, yes, but beauty without kindness is like a river without water. It dries up and leaves only cracked earth behind." "Shut your mouth, old woman," Amora snarled. I don't need wisdom from someone who smells like wood smoke and failure. Your time is over. Mine has just begun. The old woman's eyes filled with tears. But they were not tears of sadness. They were tears of prophecy. She raised her trembling hands toward the sky. The wind suddenly stopped blowing. The birds fell silent. Even the river seemed to pause its eternal song. Amora, Mama Adani said, her voice now carrying supernatural power. You worship only your reflection. So let your reflection become your prison. Let your beauty melt like candle wax in the sun. Let your pride become your punishment. Only when you learn to love the ugliest heart will your own heart be freed. Thunder rolled across the clear sky. The curse was spoken. The transformation would begin at dawn. What is this? This cannot be me. Amora's scream shattered the morning silence like a broken calabash. She had awakened before the rooster's call, eager to admire her beauty as always. But the face staring back from the copper mirror was not her own. Her smooth ebony skin had become rough and ashen like dried bark. Her once sparkling eyes were now dull and sunken. Her full, crimson lips had cracked and withered. Her glorious hair was falling out in clumps, leaving bald patches across her scalp. Most horrifying of all, her nose had grown wide and crooked. Mama! Mama Kisi, she wailed, stumbling toward her parents' sleeping area. Something terrible has happened to your daughter. Her mother rushed out, still tying her wrapper around her waist. What is wrong, my child? Why do you? Mama Kisi's words died in her throat. Her hands flew to her mouth in shock. Amora, is that really you? Of course it's me. But look at what has happened. I'm cursed, Mama. That evil old woman has destroyed your beautiful daughter. Baba Kisi emerged from the hut, rubbing sleep from his eyes. When he saw Amora, he stepped backward in disbelief. The ancestors have spoken, he whispered. This is the result of your pride, my daughter. Your cruel words have brought this upon our family. No, this is not my fault. Amora cried, covering her face with her hands. That old witch cursed me. She was jealous of my beauty. We must find her and force her to undo this evil magic. But when they searched the village, Mama Adani was nowhere to be found. Her hut was empty. Her belongings were gone. It was as if she had vanished like smoke in the wind. She has returned to the spirit world, said the village chief sadly. Mama Adani was no ordinary woman. She was a guardian of ancient wisdom. Her curse cannot be undone by human hands. Amora fell to her knees in the dust. Then I am doomed to live as a monster forever. There must be a way. There must be hope. Her mother knelt beside her, tears streaming down her face. Perhaps there is, my daughter. But first, you must learn what you have never known. You must learn humility. The copper mirror lay forgotten in the dirt. Its surface no longer reflected beauty, only truth. I bring news of hope, but the price is steep. 3 days had passed since Amora's transformation. She had not left her hut. She had not eaten. She had not spoken to anyone except to weep. The village children, who once followed her in admiration, now ran away in fear. The young men who had dreamed of courting her looked away in disgust. Even the village dogs whimpered and hid when she appeared. I am dead to this world, she whispered to herself. Better to join the ancestors than live as a monster. But on the 4th morning, a stranger arrived in Qaame village. He was tall and mysterious, wrapped in a dark traveling cloak. His face was hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat woven from elephant grass. He carried a walking stick carved with symbols that seemed to move in the light. I seek the one called Amora, he announced in the village square. The woman who has been touched by the curse of pride. Word spread quickly through the village. Amora's parents brought her to meet the stranger. She kept her head covered with a thick cloth, ashamed to show her face. You are the one, the stranger said, studying her with eyes like burning coals. I can smell the magic upon you. Ancient magic, powerful and just. Please, wise one, Mama Kisi pleaded. Can you help our daughter? Can you break this terrible curse? The stranger was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice like distant thunder. The curse can be broken, but only by the one who cast it. And she has returned to the world of spirits. However, there is another way. A path that requires great sacrifice. Amora looked up, hope flickering in her ruined eyes. What must I do? I will do anything. You must marry the ugliest man in all the land. Not just marry him, but love him truly. Serve him faithfully. Care for him as a devoted wife should. Only when your heart learns to love without conditions will your beauty return. The crowd gasped. Amora's hope crumbled like sand. Marry an ugly man. Never. I would rather die than share my bed with a monster. The stranger shook his head sadly. Then you shall remain as you are. Forever cursed, forever alone. The choice is yours, Amora of Qaame. He turned to leave, his cloak billowing in the wind. Wait. Amora called out desperately. How will I find this ugly man? The stranger paused. He will find you. When your pride finally dies, he will come. And with that, he vanished into the morning mist. 2 weeks had passed since the stranger's visit. Amora had grown thinner and more desperate. Her parents barely looked at her anymore. Her friends avoided her completely. She had become a ghost in her own village. The morning sun was just rising when she heard the heavy footsteps. Thump, thump, thump. Someone was walking toward their compound with a walking stick. Amora peered through a crack in the wall. What she saw made her stomach turn. The man approaching was beyond ugly, he was grotesque. His back was hunched like a camel's. His belly hung over his torn wrapper like a sack of grain. His legs were thin and bowed. His face was covered in warts and scars. Only 3 brown teeth remained in his mouth. His breath could be smelled from 10 paces away. Mama Kisi, he called out in a voice like grinding stones. I am Danjuma from the village of Sokoto. I have traveled many days to marry your daughter Amora. Mama Kisi emerged from the hut, her face pale with shock. Marry. But who told you to come here? A wise stranger visited my village, Danjuma explained. He said there was a cursed woman who needed a husband. I am the ugliest man in all the northern lands. The perfect match for someone who has lost her beauty. Amora stumbled out of the hut, her face twisted with horror. No, I will not marry this creature. Look at him, Mama. He is repulsive. He smells like a rotting goat. But Danjuma only smiled, showing his 3 brown teeth. And you, my dear, are no longer the beauty you once were. We are perfectly matched now. 2 cursed souls seeking redemption. I will not. Amora shrieked. I would rather die than touch you. Then die you shall, Danjuma replied calmly. Die slowly, alone, and ugly. But if you marry me, there is hope. Hope that your curse might be broken. Hope that your beauty might return. The choice is yours, Amora. But choose quickly. I will not wait forever. Her parents looked at her with desperate eyes. The village watched in stunned silence. Amora's world had collapsed completely. She was trapped between her pride and her only chance at redemption. The ugliest decision of her life awaited. I accept. The words fell from Amora's lips like stones into a deep well. The village square erupted in shocked whispers. She said yes. Amora is really going to marry him. The ancestors work in mysterious ways. Danjuma's scarred face broke into a wide, gap-toothed grin. Excellent. We shall marry today. Today. Amora gasped. But I need time to prepare. Time to think. You have had enough time to think, Danjuma replied firmly. And there is nothing to prepare. You are no longer beautiful enough to deserve a grand wedding. A simple ceremony will suffice. The words stung like a slap across her face. But Amora knew she had no choice. Her parents wept as they gathered the village elders. Within hours, the strangest wedding in Qaame's history was underway. There was no music. No dancing. No celebration. Just shocked silence and pitying stares. Amora wore a faded wrapper that had once been her finest. Now it looked like rags on her transformed body. Danjuma wore his torn clothes and his satisfied smile. The village chief performed the ceremony with trembling hands. "Do you, Amora, take this man as your husband?" "I do," she whispered, fighting back tears. "Do you, Danjuma, take this woman as your wife?" "I do indeed," he declared loudly. "She will make an excellent servant." More gasps from the crowd. "Wife, not servant," Mama Kisi corrected weakly. "Same thing," Danjuma laughed. "She will cook my food, wash my clothes, and obey my every command. In return, I will provide her with a roof over her head." A generous bargain, considering her current condition. Amora's hands shook as she placed the traditional wedding bracelet on her wrist. It felt like a shackle, a chain binding her to a life of misery. "The ceremony is complete," the chief announced sadly. "You are now husband and wife. May the ancestors guide your union." Danjuma grabbed Amora's arm roughly. "Come, wife. Time to see your new home. Say goodbye to your parents. You belong to me now." As they walked away, Amora looked back at her childhood home. Her mother was weeping. Her father looked like he had aged 10 years. Her friends watched in stunned silence. The girl who had once been the most beautiful in all the land was now leaving as the wife of its ugliest man. But somewhere in the distance, the mysterious stranger watched from the shadows. "Let the real test begin," he whispered to the wind. "Welcome to your new palace, my beautiful bride." Danjuma's laughter echoed through the night like a hyena's call. The hut he led her to was worse than anything Amora had imagined. The walls were cracked and leaking. The roof had holes that let in rain and insects. The floor was covered in dust and animal droppings. The smell was overwhelming, a mixture of rotting food, unwashed bodies, and something else she couldn't identify. "This is where you will live now," Danjuma announced proudly. "This is where you will serve me faithfully. This is where you will learn the true meaning of marriage." Amora covered her nose with her wrapper. "It smells like a tomb in here. How can anyone live like this?" "You will learn," he replied, settling onto a mat that looked like it hadn't been washed in years. "Now cook my dinner. I am hungry after my long journey." "Cook? With what? There is no fire, no food, no clean water." Danjuma pointed to a corner where a few yams sat rotting. "Use those. Make a fire outside. Fetch water from the stream." "Is this how you greet your new husband? With complaints and questions?" Amora stared at the rotting yams in disbelief. Back home, she had never cooked a single meal. Her mother had always done everything for her. Now she was expected to create food from nothing. I don't know how to cook," she admitted quietly. "What?" Danjuma roared with laughter. "The great beauty of Qaame doesn't know how to cook. What can you do besides stare at yourself in mirrors?" I can. But Amora realized she couldn't finish the sentence. What could she do? She had spent her entire life focusing only on her appearance. She had learned no useful skills. She had never helped anyone. She had never served anyone but herself. "I thought so," Danjuma said with cruel satisfaction. "Well, you will learn quickly. Because if you don't cook, we don't eat. If you don't clean, we live in filth. If you don't work, we have nothing. Welcome to the real world, my dear wife." That night, Amora sat hungry in the corner of the filthy hut. Danjuma snored loudly, his breath filling the air with foul odors. She had never felt so alone. So helpless. So completely broken. "What have I become?" she whispered to the darkness. "What have I done to deserve this?" But deep inside, she knew the answer. This was the price of her pride. The cost of her cruelty. The bill for a lifetime of selfishness. "Get up, lazy woman. The sun is already rising." Danjuma's voice shattered Amora's restless sleep. She had barely slept on the hard floor. Every part of her body ached. "Fetch water from the stream," he ordered. "Find firewood. Cook breakfast. And do it quickly. I have work to do, and I need food in my belly. Amora struggled to her feet. Her back was stiff from sleeping on the ground. Her stomach cramped with hunger. She had eaten nothing the day before. At the stream, she encountered other women from nearby villages. They whispered when they saw her. "Is that really Amora from Qaame? The one who was so beautiful? Look how she has fallen. Married to that ugly man Danjuma." Their words cut deeper than any blade. But as the days passed, something unexpected began to happen. Amora started to notice things she had never seen before. The way the old woman at the well struggled with her heavy pot. The young mother carrying her sick child to the healer. The elderly man who walked miles each day to tend his small farm. For the first time in her life, Amora began to see other people's pain. "Here, let me help you," she said one morning to the struggling old woman. "Your pot is too heavy." The woman looked at her suspiciously. "You want to help me? But why?" Because I know what it feels like to struggle now." Slowly, Amora began to change. She learned to cook simple meals from scraps. She learned to clean without complaining. She learned to work with her hands. Most importantly, she learned to think about others. When a child fell and scraped his knee, she stopped to help. When an old man dropped his walking stick, she picked it up. When women gossiped cruelly about others, she remained silent. "You are different," Danjuma observed one evening. "Different how?" "Quieter. Less angry." "I am learning," Amora replied simply. "Learning what?" "Learning that beauty means nothing if your heart is ugly. Learning that serving others is not slavery. Learning that pride is a poison that destroys everything it touches." Danjuma studied her with his small, beady eyes. "Interesting," he muttered. "Very interesting indeed." That night, for the first time since her transformation, Amora slept peacefully. She was beginning to understand the true nature of her curse. And the real path to breaking it. "Wife, I am dying, and there is something you must know." Amora dropped the clay pot she was carrying. Water spilled across the dusty floor. For 3 months, she had served Danjuma faithfully. She had cooked his meals without complaint. She had cleaned his wounds without disgust. She had cared for him when fever burned his skin. But now he lay on his sleeping mat, breathing like a dying animal. His skin was grey and cold. His eyes were sunken deep into his skull. "What do you mean, husband?" she whispered, kneeling beside him. "I am not who you think I am. I am not Danjuma, the ugly man from Sokoto. I am the test sent by the ancestors. The final trial of your transformation." Amora's heart stopped beating. "What are you saying?" "I am the spirit of redemption," he continued weakly. "Sent to see if your heart had truly changed. Sent to see if you could love without conditions. Sent to see if you could serve without expecting reward. But you are my husband. I have cared for you. I have learned to. To what?" he asked gently. The words came like water breaking through a dam. "To love you," she whispered. "Despite your appearance. Despite your cruelty. Despite everything. I have learned to love you truly." Danjuma smiled, and for the first time, his smile was beautiful. "Then you have passed the test, Amora of Qaame. Your heart is no longer poisoned by pride. Your soul is no longer ugly. You have learned the greatest lesson of all. That true beauty comes from love, not appearance. From service, not selfishness. From kindness, not cruelty." As he spoke, his form began to shimmer like heat waves. His ugly features started to fade. His hunched back straightened. His scarred skin cleared. "You are not dying," Amora gasped. "You are transforming. As are you, my dear wife. Look at your hands." Amora looked down in wonder. Her rough, work-worn hands were becoming smooth again. Her ashen skin was regaining its ebony glow. "The curse is breaking," she whispered. "But not because of magic. Because of love. Because of change. Because of the woman you have become." Thunder rolled across the sky. Rain began to fall. The transformation was beginning. My daughter, my beautiful daughter has returned. Mamakis's cry of joy echoed across the village of Qaame. Amora stood in the doorway of her childhood home, but she was no longer the same woman who had left. Her beauty had returned, yes. Her skin glowed like polished ebony. Her eyes sparkled like stars. Her hair flowed like silk in the morning breeze. But there was something different about her now. Something deeper. Something that made her more beautiful than she had ever been before. Amora, her brother Kofi whispered in amazement. Is it really you? It is me, brother. But I am not the same person who left this place. I am no longer the proud, cruel woman you once knew. The mysterious stranger stepped forward from the crowd. He threw back his hood, revealing a face of ancient wisdom. The curse is broken, he announced to the gathering villagers. Not by magic, but by love. Not by beauty, but by service. Not by pride, but by humility. Amora has learned the greatest lesson of all. That true beauty comes from the heart. Ada, her childhood friend, approached cautiously. Amora, are you still the same inside? Amora's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, sister. I was cruel to you and your husband. I mocked your happiness because I was jealous. Can you ever forgive me? Adeora's face broke into a smile. Of course I forgive you. Welcome home, my friend. One by one, the villagers came forward. Each one Amora had wronged, she asked for forgiveness. Each one welcomed her back with open arms. Where is Danjuma? Asked Mamakisi. He has returned to the spirit world, Amora explained. He was never truly my husband. He was my teacher. My guide to redemption. And what will you do now, my daughter? Amora looked around at the faces of her family and friends. I will serve, she said simply. I will help others as I should have done long ago. I will use my beauty to bring joy, not pain. I will love without conditions. I will live without pride. The villagers cheered. Children ran to embrace her. Elders blessed her transformation. And somewhere in the distance, the mysterious stranger smiled. The curse is truly broken, he whispered to the wind. Love has conquered pride. Beauty has found its true purpose. And Amora has found her soul. The copper mirror lay forgotten in the dust. Its surface reflected not just beauty, but wisdom. Not just appearance, but truth. The village of Qaame had learned its greatest lesson. That true beauty comes from within. And pride, once conquered, becomes the foundation of humility. The ancestors smiled. The curse was broken. Love had won. If this powerful story of transformation touches your heart, hit that like button and subscribe to this channel for more such incredible videos that will change how you see the world.